Okay, Sistas fans, we are talking, oh boy, Season 4, Episode 22, Make Him Great, because this episode certainly wasn't. This was the Sistas Season 4 finale, and if you follow me on Twitter last night, if you were tweeting with me last night, if you watched my Instagram, yes, I did an Instagram live for the first time, and I don't know how long, as well as doing a YouTube live stream. I was not a fan of this episode. This is quite possibly, I don't know for sure, but this is possibly the worst season finale that Sistas has put out yet. I'm debating whether or not season 2 or season 4 have the worst finale. I would say season 2 was the most frustrating and aggravating finale to sit through, but season 4, this one was just disappointing, lackluster, a snooze fest. And yeah, it's just, I expected more. I gave it a 3 out of 10. There were a few, okay, let me put it this way. A majority of the responses I've gotten to my commentary during the live stream last night was a majority of people feeling the same way. This was disappointing, dragged out in some ways. It could have been better. And a few people agree with my score of a 3 out of 10. A lot of other people are like, oh, I'll give it a 6 or a 7. Heck, it'll be a 5 for me. But 3 out of 10, and I feel like you all know where that 3 comes from. The only things really worth it in the episode: the scenes with Zach in the hotel with Tony, as well as when he was over at the house with Jake. And then, of course, when Fatima confronted Tony at the end. Those were really the only scenes that I actually liked. The other scenes felt, I've said it before, the fact that in the finales, for some reason, it seems like Tyler dials back character intelligence and he makes them act certain ways for the sake of a plot, as opposed to what this character isn't acting like the way we've seen them grow, change, or react to similar situations in the past. So why all of a sudden are they acting so weird now? But I'll do maybe a separate video about why the finale was disappointing, or I might just talk about it here. I don't know, I'll figure it out. But just a quick message to those who seem to always have I guess you could say, question my critiques, if you will. Are there any other shows that you watch that are perfect? What gives you the right, or any of us the right, to critique the shows? First of all, I've been doing this for years. My entire channel is based on giving my commentary. We're not always going to agree. There are people who enjoyed the episode, and more power to you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I didn't hate the episode. I know a 3 out of 10 might seem like I loathed entirely, but it just wasn't that great in my opinion. It's just one of those things where there are episodes that are good, there are episodes that are bad. Hell, I feel like there are episodes this season where I might have given a 7 or 8 to, but other people only gave it like a 4. And on the flip side, I know there are people who scored this episode a lot higher than me. But just like a majority of the episodes this season, specifically in Season 4B, it felt like the Zatima scenes, Zach, Fatima, or when they're apart, those scenes made the show. Whereas the elements of the episode that were related to Sistas, it was just really boring. So let me go ahead and get into this review. But this might not be too long. Alright, so the first scene we pick up where we left off. Zach makes it clear that he's not going to have sex with Tony. He's not afraid of going to jail. And the commentary he makes, like, look, ma'am, you're in a robe with flowers on it. What am I supposed to do with that? But we learn a little backstory, the fact that, Tony was married and in love for, about 30 years, but now that's just going to be thrown away due to the divorce. And she talks about how she's a cold-blooded bitch and she'll blackmail him with jail. And it's funny because I was waiting for Zach. Well, then again, this would have been breaking the fourth wall, but Zach makes it clear he's not scared of going to jail. It's like, think of it this way. If it was like Deadpool or something breaking the fourth wall, Zach would have been like, ma'am, let me let you know this. I'm not scared of jail. Hell, I just got out of jail for the second time this season less than 24 hours ago. Because remember, yesterday he just got out of jail for the whole beating up Hayden thing. So Zach ain't afraid to go back. Hell, they probably got a cell already prepped and warm for him. It's just one of those things where, lady, it doesn't matter. Not to mention, while I did enjoy the Zach scenes, I'm a bit surprised that he didn't just flip it on her like, hey, you're talking about calling the cops on me or the FCC, having me arrested and whatnot, but what about you? You gave me the information and this and that. So basically, if you tell on me, you tell on yourself. I will say what I really loved about the scene was Zach saying, not just what but other fans were saying over the past week or so, what's to stop Tony from having sex with Zach again? Like, oh, I'll do it one time with me and I'll be quiet. Okay, but what happens if you want to have sex again and I say no? Will you keep on threatening me? And he just kept basically checking off the list of, if I do this, how do I know this won't happen? It felt like a little game, but it was a good one to play because, once again, I love when the characters ask or react to situations the same way, we talk about it as fans. But he pretty much just leaves. But again, the dialogue was great. It really, to me personally, I got Catherine Cryer vibes from Tony, and I really love that. Okay, so after he leaves the hotel room, and honestly, I'm a bit surprised he made the phone call right outside of the door as opposed to, let's say, in his car, because if I were making a call, let's say if somebody was trying to blackmail me or something, and I left their house or I, basically went out the door, I wouldn't get on the phone and call anyone until I was maybe a good distance away from them to make sure they aren't listening in or something. It's just one of those things where, I don't know, that's just me. But then again, I get it because it's like, oh, well, Tyler probably didn't want to film him walking down the hallway or in driving. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, Jake is going to come over to his house so they can talk about the situation. Okay, then we get to the scene this was the scene of the episode that had me going, okay, I know this probably isn't going to be the best finale. It's when Fatima goes into Andy's office and she's kind of a mess. She's kind of, not as well put together as you would expect. I think that Andy asked her about a specific case, and Fatima's fidgeting through all of her files and whatnot, and she's just kind of falling apart. So Andy tells her to kind of slow down and just sit down and talk to see what's wrong, because she wonders if this has anything to do with Hayden being in her office in the last episode. And they pretty much have a talk about the situation, about Karen how she almost caught one last night, and then Andy's like, do you just wake up and choose violence? Well, hey, she just comes over unannounced and whatnot. And Andy's like, I know. And what about the baby mama? Oh, so you talked about everything. Yeah, girl. And don't worry about Karen. I had a talk with her, and she won't be doing that again. And I'm thinking, Andy, no, you didn't. At the penthouse, you tried to tell her that stuff, but she kept cutting you off. Then the next morning when she's quote unquote calmed down, but I don't feel like that's going to stop her from doing it again, especially what we'll see of Karen later on in the episode. But it's just one of those things where Fatima kind of laughs it off about hell, what else am I supposed to do in this situation? Which is a good callback to season 3 finale, because remember when Zach told Fatima about the whole Karen being pregnant thing and she says it's his, Fatima just laughed. It's like, that's all I could do. The only difference is, she was a bit tipsy because she had been drinking in the season 3 finale, which is ironic since Zach does that later on. But, she goes on about how she loves her some Zach, and, mentions how his mother was horrible. And remember, we're supposed to meet Zach's mother in the season 2 of Zatima. But she wants to make him a better man because, he's never had a woman like me. And, it's basically Andy says, okay. Or she just gives a look, basically insinuating, well, she pretty much states it because Fatima's like, oh, what's that for? Karen, it's basically what you're saying is what Karen said. And it just felt weird to me to have Fatima talking about Zach like they just met. And it just felt like Andy was once again judging Zach for who he was. And it just feels weird that these two met in the middle of season 2, if I'm not mistaken. And we're at the end of season 4 and Zach and Fatima have been through so much. And I don't know, it just kind of feels to me like if Zach hasn't proved that he's changed, then by now I don't know what he needs to do. Yes, his past is catching up with him, but at the same time, you chose to stick in there. So for her to just talk about Zach like, well, he's potential. I can make him a better man. I can do this and that. But Fatima, you're not perfect yourself. And I'm not saying she ever said she was, but yet again, it made it seem like the man is supposed to be weak and pitiful where the woman builds him up. So Andy tells this pretty good analogy, this pretty good story about, in college she had a car that was a big fixer-upper. It's the one she wanted. She put all this money into it, but it kept breaking down. And she had to get rid of it because, well, even though it was a massive loss, it's what she needed to do. Again, while this was a great story, I'm just sitting here thinking, Andy, take your own damn advice. It's just like when Danny gives advice throughout the entire season, or anytime these girls give sound advice to anybody else. Listen to, practice what you preach. The Gary situation, let him go. I'm going to be honest here. Even if you want to give up the car and the penthouse and all, would it really be that much of a major loss? Sure, it's a massive upgrade from how you were living before, but that apartment and all you had, at least that was a cozy life, knowing that it's everything you obtained by yourself and nobody can take it away from you except the feds at the end of season 1. But it's just one of those things where, Andy, again, practice what you preach. So, Fatima's like, hey, he's worth it, I'm sticking in there. It just felt weird. Of course, I don't know. This scene kind of dragged on for me. It was like multiple scenes in this season, it was good to have these like sit down moments with the girls, just like last week with Andy and Karen, or a couple episodes before with Karen and Sabrina. These moments are good character moments, but at the same time, when you listen to the subjects and what they're talking about, it's like, should they really still be learning this lesson? Haven't they learned it by now? But again, it was a good scene. I just felt like it was the scene that had me going, oh, it's going to be one of those finales, huh? All right, so we go over to the juice shop, which I don't think we saw since season 1. Bio approaches Sabrina and basically explains that there are a tribe of women in this country that apparently look similar to Danny. Too bad we couldn't see the photo. So from there, he's very apologetic and wants to make it up to Sabrina because he wants to see her again. Apparently that group of beautiful women are like highly praised in Bio's country. So it must have been one of those situations where, oh my God, Danny, it's like, wow, you're beautiful, you're stunning, yada, yada, yada. So Sabrina sends all those photos to from Bio to Danny. And Sabrina agrees to meet up with him again. Basically, hey, you call me and we'll work something out. So, Bio goes up to the counter, and strangely enough, Sabrina just steps like 3 steps away and gets on the phone when Danny calls her, basically asking what the hell the photos are for. And he explains about it. Oh, Bio, these are women from his home country. They look like you. Girl, I don't look like them. So it's like you bought this BS. So Danny smells some weirdness going on, but at the same time asked the question, but Sabrina, do you like him? Well, I kind of do, so maybe I will see him again. And I guess that's supposed to be setting up something, but based on the ending, I don't know if it will. Alright, so we go over to Logan and Danny at the airport. Danny's just mad at Logan over the whole Sabrina thing. She pretty much once again reiterates the fact that, look, Sabrina's clean, I don't know what you're looking into her for, but Logan's there waiting for FBI to pop up. And she's still mad the fact that he can't tell her anything about the situation. Finds out, oh, well, you're investigating Sabrina. It's kind of funny because he's like, look, how about I take you to dinner and I'll explain everything. I'm not going to interact with you as long as you're investigating my friend. So I think it's safe to say there's not going to be a follow-up date between these two. Unless season 5 surprises us. Okay, so Fatima comes back through another part of the office and sees Gary at the front desk of the law firm. She's asking, what the hell are you doing here? And he makes it clear he's there to see his lawyer, not that bitch. And before Fatima could really go off on him, he just goes down the hallway. So she goes over to Andy, basically to say, hey, look, I left my laptop at the house with the files on it. I'll be, back in a second to go get them. And basically lets her know that Andy's, pimp house sugar daddy is at the law firm. Oh, well, tell him I don't want to see him today. Oh, no, he's there to see his lawyer or something. Then they both see Gary and Hayden walking down the hallway, which I found hilarious. So remember, Fatima's going to leave to pick up her laptop. Okay, so we see Gary and Hayden go into Hayden's office, and basically Gary explains how he wants to get his apartment back, and basically explains that, okay, Andy, penthouse, her name, I want to get the card to. And Hayden basically explains, well, you could sue her for it. You know, pain and suffering. He's like, yeah, you know, pain and suffering. I'm just sitting here like, Gary, but you bruised her ribs. Gary, your ex-wife and her girls assaulted Andy in the parking lot. Hell, then she showed up into her apartment and shot you, and then tried to shoot Andy in the face. It's just one of those things where it's Dumb and Dumber. It felt funny. I'm not gonna lie. I did kind of chuckle at the scene, but overall, it's like, first of all, Hayden works in like tax and finances. So, I mean, I guess you could argue that since these are buyer remorse cases, then I suppose that Hayden could work on it. I don't know, or file the lawsuit. I don't know. It's continuity. Tyler will have these lawyers specialize in one field, but then have them do whatever he needs for the plot to move on. But then also, it's the fact that you're going to file a lawsuit at the law firm that Andy works at, where the guy that was giving her back shots in the penthouse, Robin, actually runs and owns the place. So I'm no expert in law, but something tells me he could probably handle that himself if he wanted to. But only time will tell. Not to mention, Andy claims to be leaving the penthouse, so what if she just opts to like, Gary, fine, you can have all that shit, but you put all the stuff you took out of my apartment back where it belongs, and then what's going to happen? I feel like it's just one of those situations where Gary's in his feelings. He's going to try to like threaten Andy, oh, here's what I'm going to do, but then when she doesn't want to play ball and decides, you know what, fine, Gary, take it, he'll be like, well yeah, then, fine, and then he's going to come crawling back. I don't know, stupid. Alright, so from there we go over to Jake and Zach. Zach is once again asking, can I trust you? I ain't gonna lie. Kind of like Jake, I'm like, bro, if you don't trust me by now, I don't really know what the... If you don't know me by now, you will never, never, never know me. Ooh. Okay, so basically Jake is like, look, man, again, if you don't trust me by now, I don't know what else to do. But basically, Zach explains the woman who gave him the stock tip wants him to sleep with her or she'll go to the FCC. Jake makes it clear that, well, what do you want to do? And Zach's like, well, you know, I don't want to sleep with her, so am I ready to face the FCC? And Jake says, well, look, man, I think you're ready, but if the FCC has evidence, then I don't know. But are you sure that if you sleep with her, she'll stay quiet? And then Fatima comes around the corner. What about if you have sex with her? And when Jake went, oh shit, I ain't gonna lie, that was the best part of the episode. Like, that was legit terror in his voice and his face right there. It's just one of those things where, yep, Jake doesn't have a good poker face. So regardless, you know, Jake splits. He's like, oh, I love that green and blue. Zach, I'll talk to you later. And basically Fatima's in her feelings and she's mad because, one, I told you not to trust Jake, and two, why didn't you tell me instead of Jake? But Zach explains the situation, and then Fatima's like, well, is she going to stay quiet? Yeah, well, do what you got to do. Wrap it up, because you got enough kids. I was like, what the? So, Zach is like, wait, what? So she's like, figure it out for yourself, and then she leaves. And even my nephew was like, I can't believe she said that. Okay, so we go over to the salon, and Karen's finishing up a client, and Pam, you know, I'm not even going to say being overly motherly, but she's just checking in with Karen, which I found a bit surprising considering how Karen talked to her in the last episode. And I wonder if this is the one client that Pam told, you know, over the phone that Karen wasn't good at perms, but I'd schedule you anyway. So basically, Pam notices that Karen seemed a bit tired and maybe semi-winded. It's like, look, you've been working these long hours, standing for a long time. Are you okay? Yeah, I got a bit of a headache, so I don't know, maybe you should take some, or maybe not. So from there, Karen notices a strong smell and, you know, she feels a bit weird. And Pam tells her, look, you need to go see your doctor or something. Something's wrong. As soon as you can. And then she just smells something strong, and Pam notices blood, and then they rush, to go to like the back room. I will say this should have been either closer to the end of the episode. No, honestly, this scene was fine, but I think we should have gotten like just a bit more towards the end of the episode, and I'll get to that in just a second. Next up, Preston goes up to Danny at the airport. He pretty much makes his case. Look, I'm going back home. There's nothing for me here. The only reason, to be honest, the main reason I stayed for as long as I did was because of you. I just wish you would tell me what I did wrong. And she's like, well, I already told you. And she's still on, that BS of, oh, Preston, you need to learn. And I've already told you what you need to do. But then again, it's like, you don't tell him what you did. She doesn't always say what you did wrong when he does wrong. She kind of just bottles everything up and then explodes at once. And then when he tries to change, it's not good enough. And I don't want to get into it, but he basically gives her a flower, this plastic flower, which I did find funny that Danny pointed out was plastic. Well, it represents my love for you that will never die. And that's the point of it not being a living flower. But, and don't say nothing, Danny, because... if you do, then, it'll kind of make me stay, and I know you don't want me to, but so I'm going home. See you later. So he leaves, and, Danny, she was just basically trying to keep strong, and she, if this was, I feel like if nothing else, Danny would have, like, run out there and, like, yelled at the airplane to stop, or what happened in Liar, Liar? Remember the Jim Carrey movie? I think when he was trying to stop his son, his ex-wife from taking his son and moving away to start a new life with her new man. Like, he was chasing down the airplane, and then he threw like a shoe at it, and then the pilot like, wait, was that a loafer? And then he kind of like crashed into some luggage. And it feels like one of those things, because we know Danny's good at throwing the shoe. Remember how she clocked Logan in the back of the head? So I feel like Danny's just going to let him go. One thing I did appreciate about the scene, remember in season 2 where Gary kept popping up at Andy's job and whatnot in like the parking garage after they were done, and he said, look, I got a ticket to go to New York. I think that's where he said he was going, and I was going to start over, new life up there, go to therapy and whatnot. And I just wanted to let you know that if I stay, it will be because you want me to, or I'll leave. No, it's like Preston actually left and wasn't that bull crap. So, yeah, I love the character of Preston. I think I mentioned this in another video, but I love the character of Preston. I would have loved to see him more, just if nothing else, being in Zach's friend group. But to see him stay simping, at least, like I said, he's one-up Gary, and he's definitely one-up Aaron by no longer chasing a lost cause. All right, so we go over to Zach, who goes back to the hotel. And she promises that she won't say anything. And I'm just thinking to myself, Zach, you need to get a video or at least getting in writing, because you can't believe her. And look, Zach's commentary in these scenes were just gold. If I were judging and ranking the episode based on just the Zach scenes, this would easily be a 10 out of 10. So he's like, yo, give me a drink. Oh, have two. No, give me the whole bottle. So he's basically just chugging it down. And then he's like, you know what? Hey, get undressed. Look, you gotta turn your head. No, I ain't doing all that. What's going on? And he's like, you know what? Do what you gotta do. Call the FCC. I'm out of here. So he turns around to leave. He opens the door, and Fatima's standing right there. Enter the best scene of the episode. So Fatima comes in, looks Tony over. It's kind of funny because Tony's like, what's this? I'm his woman. Yeah, I'm not into threesomes. I think that's funny because it kind of mirrored the whole Andy situation where she had a threesome and then she told or asked Fatima about it, and she's like, look, that's not for me. I did it one time, but no. So I did appreciate that callback. And then from there, Fatima just lays into her. No pun intended. She's basically like, look, this is pathetic what you're doing. What, older woman in a hotel room going through a divorce, trying to, get it on with whoever you can. And look, well, he can get up just looking at me. So do you need me to get him erect and then give him over to you? Wow, you can really do that? And Fatima, it was just crazy. It's funny how Zach was looking in the background. Maybe he was a bit too tipsy, because when he legit thought that Fatima was going to pimp him out, he takes like one more swig of the drink. And Fatima just makes it clear, look, here's how this is going to happen. You're going to keep your mouth shut, because guess what? Wouldn't it be a shame if this information got out to, let's say, a law firm, for example, or a lawyer, because you're going through a divorce and here you are trying to get it on with somebody else in the hotel? Yeah, not a good look. And I'm not the kind of person that keeps quiet. I'm not the kind of, bitch that keeps quiet. I'll hold a press conference. Again, Tony definitely was giving me Catherine Cryer vibes, but Fatima was giving off Candace Young vibes. Remember early in the haves and the have-nots, I'm talking season 1, where Candace was threatening Jim, a judge who was running for governor or planning to run for governor. How about this? I go to a press conference. I call this person and talk about judges and prostitutes and whatnot. So Fatima pretty much made it clear, look, you don't destroy Zach, I don't destroy you. And then they both bounce. And then from there, we go over to the bank and, Maurice is getting docked, some time and some money because he showed up late. And I'm not going to lie. I thought Sabrina looked very good in her outfit. I'm not really one to talk about that kind of thing, but I just felt like, I don't know. I just really liked it. I know that a lot of people were talking, oh, she got the jacket and all, look baggy. But when I was just looking at the dress, I thought it was pretty good. I don't know if it was her hair or her eyes, but it just really popped for me. But basically, she doesn't like the fact that Q's still at Maurice's place. And I mean, look, guys, this scene dragged on far too long, just talking about stuff we already knew. Also, the fact that, she brings up the whole bio situation, how things got awkward with Danny. But then she asks about Calvin, and Maurice is like, no, don't be doing that. What, you trying to, use him as a fall guy and he's sleeping with Q and then yada yada. Look, I don't want to sound like I'm half-assing the cliffhanger, but yet again, I don't care about this storyline because the entire thing has been stupid. Maurice has been written to be completely incompetent and a moron the entire season just to lead up to this cliffhanger, which honestly wasn't that good. So in the midst of their back and forth and, yet again, seeming like Sabrina was having deja vu where Maurice was asking the same questions about bio that Danny was, but okay, despite seeming a bit strange about the whole Danny thing, do you like him? Do you want to see him again? So all of a sudden Sabrina's like, he's all right. Okay. Then Logan comes in. Look, I was watching on Dish Network live stream like I always do. The moment Logan came in and the end credits popped up, that's when my screen went off, but thankfully people sent me the scene. So yeah, he just goes in there to shut down the bank, have these two arrested for, conspiring to rob the bank, and even from there Sabrina's like, does Danny know about this? And I'm thinking, yeah, Danny, why didn't you tell him to tell Sabrina to get a damn lawyer? And then that was the end of the episode. But jumping back to the whole Karen scene, I think a more compelling cliffhanger would have been, we don't see Karen, but we have Pam rushing out of the bathroom or the back room or whatever, and she's screaming for someone to call 911. That would have been a more compelling cliffhanger than these two fools getting arrested. That's honestly my take on that. But overall, this was a disappointing finale. This felt more like a Sistas will be back in a couple of weeks, or even like a I wouldn't even call it a mid-season finale. We've had mid-season finales better than this one. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of the episode, as you can tell. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What would you score the episode? Remember, I said 3 out of 10. So make sure you take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Hit subscribe, hit the bell icon, and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next one.